couple things. One, I tried to set up my, as you can see behind me, I tried to set up my set differently, and it didn't work, and I had to stare into a light for over an hour and a half. And there are points when I'm not looking at the camera, but I'm sort of looking at the camera because it's super painful. Super painful, I'm not even gonna lie. Um, and on top of that, the first few minutes are blurry. Like, the first third of the video is blurry. Take it or leave it, I don't really care.
This stupid white backdrop, it's harder to light than the black one. You wouldn't think that, but it is. It's just one of the backdrops that came with my lighting set. I think I'm going to order some better backdrops because I've ordered other backdrops. I've ordered my 2 UFO ones. Those didn't feel appropriate for this video. Now I wish I'd used them because those are easy to set up and easy to light. God. I don't even know if I'm in focus because I'm not using my good tripod. I'm using my bad tripod today. And the whole point of refilming this video was because of how bad the last video looked. So I'm sure this looks like some sort of kidnap ransom video, but it's not. Turn. Damn it. See? Hi. It's not some sort of kidnap ransom video, I promise. So yeah, that's fun. Okay. So last week. So those who do not know, it is currently 3:29 in the morning, which is better than I thought it was. And it is July 15th. Not July 15th, what the fuck? January 15th. Wow, my brain today. And the ironic thing is I probably would have had to have added to that video anyway because of the amount of shit that's come out in this week. Which honestly feels like a lot longer than a week ago. It feels like a month ago. Like, it legit feels like it was a month ago. But it wasn't. It was a week ago. So I was 5-ish when 9/11 happened. And I only really remember things very vaguely. I remember my mom and I had gone somewhere. And we got back home. And my sister, who is a very mild-mannered, calm person, who I've seen hysterical twice in her entire life. I've seen her hysterical. Well, not entirely, because she's older than me. Came running down the stairs. Absolutely panicked. And just was hysterical and screaming that the towers were gone. And that's really the only memory I have from 9/11. Again, I was really little at the time, and I don't have that big connection with 9/11. And yes, there have been many mass shootings and many terrorist attacks since then. Most, and if several, in my lifetime. But watching, let me back it up a second. So I woke up. I'd been up super late the night before because the night before was the Joe runoff. And I'd been up super late, chatting with people online, watching the results come in, all that fun stuff. So I went to bed at around 3:30, 4 o'clock, maybe later, I don't really remember. And I woke up at around 11:30 noon because I'd been up so late. And of course I checked my phone when I first wake up and I see that Trump had been giving a speech, and I just kind of don't really pay attention to it because I'm like, yeah, whatever. Kind of follow through a couple of the threads with a couple of the reporters that I follow on Twitter, and just sort of pay attention to kind of what happened and, whatever. Pay no mind to it.
I'm sort of half watching the how the joint session of Congress and the electoral vote, but not completely. I'm just sort of kind of popping in there and here and there, really just live streaming it on Twitter, communicating with people that are talking about it. That's basically it. I thought there might be some drama, but I didn't think anything was going to be. No, that's not true. I hoped stuff wouldn't be quite that crazy. I had a horrible sinking feeling that something horrible was going to happen. And alas, that was not just my anxiety.
Go get coffee, go get started with my day. Drinking my coffee, my phone starts going off like crazy. Now, they'd already called Reverend Warnock's race right before I went to bed. So, and it was pretty obvious that it was going to be called for Jon Ossoff as well. And when my phone just randomly started going off, I didn't check it automatically because I just assumed that Jon Ossoff's race had been called and he won, and yay, because that's what we were expecting when I went to bed. That's what the numbers were saying. I know Decision Desk had called it at that point, and a couple of other places like that had called it at that point, and a few other people had called it at that point. People that have been relatively accurate through most of the races this cycle. So I went to bed pretty confident that I was going to wake up, and I assumed when I picked up my phone about 30 seconds to 2 minutes later that that's what would be happening. That the race for Jon Ossoff would be called, and there would be a press conference, and it would be exciting. The Democrats had the Senate. Now they have the House, the Senate, and the White House. Yay. But that's not what happened. I opened Twitter, and I saw that they were starting to push the barricades. They were fighting and pushing at the barricades. And I'd kind of known, or feared rather, that the 6th was going to be chaotic and insane. Attempted coup, in my opinion, an attempted coup, was not what I saw coming.
True. I kind of feared the possibility of an attempted coup from the time that Trump was won in 2016. I just didn't think he'd actually try to pull it off. Thankfully, he's bad at it so far.
But I knew it was going to be chaotic and horrible. But, people are talking about 1 second of people talking and whining about the debates going on that are going to affect nothing, and we knew were coming. The next thing I know, the insurrectionists are fighting. And we're watching these videos that sound like the FBI told them something was going to happen, and they ignored them. So the next thing we know, they're getting onto the steps. They're climbing the sides of the building. They're climbing the scaffolding for the inauguration. They're carrying Confederate flags, Trump flags, Jesus safe flags. And at this point, I come out of my room and I start to tell my mom what's going on. The next 10 minutes is us sitting in the kitchen, scrolling through our phones, trying to figure out what's going on. I literally watch them, essentially in real time, break in the doors, break in the windows, and climb in the building. we then go to the television and start watching cable, well, not really cable news, but streaming news, which is, cable news networks, through a streaming stuff. And then they're in the building. Then they're in the building. I'm sitting on my couch watching a coup attempt occur, and the second that they walk in the building, actually, let me pull that back. The second they start breaking windows, because that's about when we got on the television. Well, we started watching, we weren't on the television. Are you following? I go, someone's gonna die. Of course, we now know 5 people have died and 2 suicides after. I start to watch people that are supposed to be citizens of the same country as me, who live in a completely different reality, break down the doors of the Capitol building because they believe that the election that is one of the most fair and most secure in American history was fraudulent. The reason they believe it is fraudulent is because the President of the United States told them it was. And they're so swept up in what he says and what other conspiracy theories say online and what other people say online, some who have now come out and said that they were legitimately psychotic when they said a lot of it, that they believe that it was stolen. Because they've believed a con man so much that they are committing treason on live television. And make no mistake, what those people did was traitors. It was seduction. That is something completely different. It was not seduction. It was sedition. It was insurrection. Not seduction. Oh, I need that on a shirt now. Sedition is not seduction. Dyslexia is fun sometimes. I saw some of the first photos as they came out, obviously not in person. The Confederate flag crossing into the state capitol. And the irony of the Confederate flag being amongst a group of people that call themselves patriots is just the fucking irony. I want to make it very clear those people are not patriots. They are traitors. I watch them walk in and then break into the House chamber and the Senate chamber and then the House chamber. I watch members try to hurriedly rip pins off of them, which I get that they have for identification, but also their face is on the internet. I'm just putting that part out there. I'm just saying, I can literally get any member of Congress's face in my hand automatically. So having them take their pins off, which is probably an older thing, although might be helpful, is probably a little ridiculous when I can just pull it up on my phone. I might be completely crazy. It might help. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. They start rushing members of the House and the Senate to secure locations because they have to. We now have, at least there's been one account, and there might be 2 at this point, of people's staffers saying that they saw some of these people on fucking tours of the Capitol building. The Capitol building has been shut down for tours since COVID started. Nobody should have been getting a tour. There were people that brought flexi cuffs, zip tie cuffs, with them. Now, one of these guys claims he found them, and then you pick them up. Why? You've just bumped your felony up, buddy. Don't do that. That's stupid. Don't do that. We have people that we know were carrying weapons on them. We have unsearched bags. There were dozens of weapons, bombs, etc. found all around the Capitol. There was at least 2 bombs at the DNC, 1 bomb at the DNC. There was a truck with long guns, bombs, ammo, like all of this shit was found on that day. That's just what they found on that day. What I'm going to say now leads into speculation, and I want to be very clear that I have no insight into what would have happened. But I also want to be clear because we need to talk about how bad this could have gone. How utterly terrible this could have been. I just want to be very clear that what I say next goes into speculation. I want you to understand that before I say the next statements that I'm going to say, because they aren't good. And because we are fucking lucky that this is where we are. Multiple people were carrying in very large bags that are normally not allowed in the Capitol building for other than staff and representatives and senators. Loads of people had weapons on them, even though those are not allowed in DC at all. You have to be very, very strict. DC is extremely strict with their gun laws, and those aren't allowed in DC at all.
I just wanted to clarify something. It's not that guns aren't allowed in DC, it's just that the gun laws for DC are exceptionally strict. And I don't think tasers are legal there, and a lot of other things aren't legal there for obvious reasons. So there's that factor as well. So I just wanted to clarify that.
We know we saw at least 1 man with flexi cuffs on him. And those are definitely flexi cuffs. We know they were shouting things like, "We have to find the members." We know they were chanting things like, "Hang Mike Pence."
24 hours ago, and now it's no longer speculation. We have court records of people saying that was their intent. We have people in prison that have come forward to jail, not prison, obviously. And we have several reports that have come forward, plus the DOJ. I think it was the DOJ. I'm very tired. I might be slightly wrong. Putting forth documentation to say, hey, this totally happened. This was the intent of several people. So I just wanted to put that in here, that has now come out since I filmed this. So, fun times. Not really.
It is my personal belief that if these people would have gotten people that were not on their do not kill list, they would have taken them as hostages, and they probably would have taken them out onto the steps and shot them. That is my personal belief that is what would have occurred. We are very fortunate that did not occur. And I'm thankful that did not occur. I'm thankful that they did not get access to the vice president. I'm thankful that they did not find a single member of Congress. If that shot hadn't been shot, which meant people stopped trying to climb the broom and started trying to help her. If and Mr. Goodwin, who is the Capitol Police officer, the African-American Capitol Police officer, who actually ended up, was originally, we just saw the image of him being chased through the Capitol building. What actually ended up happening was he was doing his job. He went to check to make sure that, I think it was the Senate room, it might have been the House, I don't remember, I'm sorry. Anyway, new footages, I'll link it down below. New footage is circulated, and he checked to see that the door was unguarded and that he knew all the members were not. So he started antagonizing the white supremacists, and they chased him. They chased him, and he ran them into a room with another guards. I think, personally, if Mr. Goodwin hadn't have been successful in that, and he's a hero, by the way, and there's a bill going forward to give him the highest medal that Congress can give a civilian. So everybody call and write your representative and let them know to give him the medal, because he deserves the medal, because he's a hero. But I think that if those actions hadn't happened and other actions hadn't happened and other things that I've kind of heard, here and there, obviously I don't have any personal insight into any of this, but I think that if those actions hadn't happened...
24 hours later, we have more information about this. And absolutely please write and call your representatives and tell them that he deserves the medal, because he so does. Today, more information came forward that the vice president was actually, literally 2-3 minutes away, rushed across that hallway, and was, less than 100 feet away from where that whole thing occurred. So that could have gone so many other ways. It's not even funny. Eugene Goodwin, Officer Goodwin, honestly, his actions might have completely changed that night. There's no way of telling, obviously, but thank God he did what he did. Thank God.
You would be having a different conversation today. Do I think that their little coup attempt would have been successful? No. Just because they weren't organized enough and they weren't strategized enough to actually know what the fuck they were doing. Even though some of them clearly went on tours, or reportedly went on tours of the building. And again, there reportedly were panic buttons ripped out of walls, which again could be accurate and could be the world's worst timed maintenance in the world. Both are possible. But we have enough factors to know that this was planned poorly, executed worse, and we should be thankful for that, because it could have so easily been so much worse. And no, I don't think their coup attempt would have worked, because they would have needed to have been way more organized and way more strategized and way more under control than they were. Because in many ways they were just chaotic and disorganized and discombobulated, and nobody knew who was on first and who was where and who was doing what, which is problematic. All I'm saying, and I'm not advocating for coups, let me tell you, because they are a dumb, bad idea that never ends well, for anyone. Just don't plan coups. If you're going to plan a coup, fucking organize. All I'm saying. But anyway, clearly they were disorganized, they were disconfused, they didn't know what they were doing. And they were just all kind of running in there and kind of doing random shit. We know this because they've said this. And we keep finding more information and more videos keep circulating and coming out that it's very obvious something happened and this was planned. And the thing is, it shows us our weaknesses and the fact that if this group of people that did plan this but poorly and executed it worse could get that close and that far, what could happen, what will happen when somebody who is trained enough, is planned enough, does know what the fuck they're doing, and has a strategy, and is good at it? What will happen then? Because we're lucky that we had the clearance discount dollar store version. We're lucky. The narcissist, quite literally, the narcissist who, yes, is probably white supremacist and probably all these other things as well, but is not a narcissist, in the White House, could not handle losing so much that he tried to get his supporters to throw a coup for him. Obviously, it didn't work because he's an ineffectual leader and doesn't know what he's doing and just wants everyone else to do it for him. But yeah. Again, we are lucky. We are lucky that is what we have. We are lucky. I also want to mention that this also happened at several state capitals, although, as far as I know, nothing as dramatic that happened at the Capitol building in D.C. So there's that. I have had an issue with the idea of patriotism and the idea of being patriotic for a very long time, and I didn't fully understand why until the 6th. And it's that I think inherently I knew at least a portion of that community was white supremacists. I knew a portion of that community was a white supremacist. I also knew that a lot of that community doesn't want to talk about the issues that this country has. They can't have a frank discussion about the fact that the founding fathers were a bunch of rich frat boys that wanted to stick it to daddy. And we are the results of that. That every single one of the founding fathers was involved heavily in the slave trade. Every single one. Yes, even Alexander Hamilton. That if people had actually done what should have happened after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated after the end of the Civil War, that we would be way further forward than we are. And I'm concerned that the same thing will sort of happen. Obviously, I'm glossing over a lot of history here, but basically, after the Civil War, there was sort of a utopian period. Obviously, it wasn't actually utopia because utopias don't exist, but it was sort of a utopian period. A lot of people of color, and in many towns, and again, I can make a whole video series about this, but I'd have to do some serious research, ended up having elected officials. And when African American men were given the right to vote, immediately several of them started holding state and local office upon the hundreds. And a bunch of, quite frankly, mentally unstable, sad, pathetic, weak-willed men that were white men decided, if I can't have it, no one can. And the KKK was formed. The Dixiecrats were formed. Numbers of other groups were formed because they were so afraid of what I don't know. That's the piece I don't fully understand. I don't know if they were afraid of being irrelevant. I don't know if they were afraid of being different. I don't know if they were afraid of being whatever, or they just didn't want things to change because that's not how mommy and daddy were raised. I don't know. But I do know what they did fundamentally hurt the country. Permanently. And I'm worried that if we don't charge all these people to the extent that they want, and yes, I know people are being arrested and charged with crimes that are lower, but the FBI has said that they're trying to charge people with higher crimes, which is what I figured they were doing anyway. I'm not worried about that portion. But I am worried that we haven't learned our lessons. Those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. It's been said multiple times by multiple people. And right now, we have the ability to rebuild history. We can learn from the past, and we can prevent that from happening again. We can let this be the whimper that kills out white supremacy. But we all have to do the work. We all have to ask the questions and make the mistakes and get messy. And we have to punish those who do not understand why that's important. And we also have to flip that on its head and educate them. Again, my feelings about this whole thing are not simple. No, I'm not saying we should educate them to be lenient, or we should be lenient because they are in many ways brainwashed or manipulated or involved in, quite frankly, what I think will end up being remembered as a cult. Or are ignorant. No. No. They are still responsible for their actions. 1,000,000%. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is we tried to do it the other way last time and it was horrible, and we need to learn from that mistake. Yes, I think they should all serve a long time in prison. And I think they should be mandated, required, at the very minimum, to attend history class. Taught by probably college-level professors. At the very minimum. We will never eliminate hate completely. That's not something we can do. But we can start to eliminate ignorance. And ignorance leads to hate. Well, fear leads to hate. Ignorance leads to fear, and fear leads to hate. So yes, we need to hold them accountable. And hold them accountable, and hold them accountable, and hold them accountable. And part of holding them accountable needs to be educating them. They need to understand what they did was wrong, and why it was wrong, and how it was wrong, and what precipitated it in occurring. We need to ask the questions of how, why, and for what reasons conspiracy theories spread and people believe them, and are these people already on the fringes of society and being snapped up by them, or are they pulled into them from something else? There are a lot of questions and things we need to answer and places we need to go and things we need to figure out. And yeah, I'm still fucking angry. I'm still fucking angry that a Capitol police officer was beaten to death. Literally beaten to death, oftentimes with rods carrying the American flag. The level of disgust that fills me with is so high. The fact that there have been 2 suicides related to this since then. And I know there's speculation online about how that means they have a guilty conscience, and I would like that to stop. First of all, you do not know why someone commits suicide. So zip it. Secondly, suicides are on the rise. And typically people struggle for a very long time before they take their own life. Or something extremely traumatic that they can't deal with happens. Like, oh, I don't know, watching your fellow officer get beaten to death. That could do it. Well, what we're not going to do is speculate and say that these men are guilty when we don't know. What we do know is they felt so upset, so distraught, so lost, in so much pain that they took their own lives. It is actually very rare for people to take their own lives because they're afraid of punishment. That's an extremely rare thing. What's not rare is for people to take their own lives because of pain. So we're not going to speculate about that. We are not going to say why these men took their lives when we don't know. That is disrespectful, that is disregarding, and it forgets the reason people take their own lives, and I don't like it. We might end up finding out that that's the case later on, but we don't know right now, and we are not going to fucking do that. That is a cruel and just phobic statement about mental health when you do that. It excuses the real pain and anguish that people that are suicidal go through. Well, they just did it because they were guilty. No. Cut that out. Cut it out. We're not playing that game. We're not playing that game here. Also, the suicide hotline is down below, because suicides are on the rise. But we're not gonna speculate like that, because that's just no, we're not. That's inappropriate and not correct. Because we don't know. We don't know why they took their own lives. I know one of them was a Capitol police officer. I'm not sure about the other, but I knew that there has been another suicide linked to the riots. And we're not going to speculate about that. That's so disrespectful. Stop. Don't do that. That's wrong. Please. And also the fact that there are still people in Congress, one of which actually ended up speaking at that thing that the president spoke at before the insurrection. He should resign. So should several other people, especially people that do not understand the hilarity of wearing a mask that says censored while you are a member of the House of Representatives and you are speaking on the floor. Ma'am, resign. You make us look dumb. Also, any members that refuse to want to walk through the metal detectors, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Again, I'm a very empathetic person, and I do give a shit about how people feel, but...
Hi, so I just wanted to make a quick statement here. Part of the reason why this is so obvious to me, and I will link a video in the card and down below in the description to inform you why. But basically, this is how Harvey Milk died. A man who was extremely against him on the city board ended up killing him and the mayor. And he climbed through a window to sneak in with a loaded gun to kill both men. So, yeah. I just wanted to put that out there. Again, card in description. Check out the video. It's like 5 minutes.
Resign or deal with it. Resign or deal with it. Those are your choices. You know, more than likely, some of those people are going to be linked to this, like, directly. And this is going to get pretty ugly. More than likely. And that's scary. I mean, the fact that Trump is now the president to be impeached twice, because he's too much of a coward to resign the first time. Yeah, I said it. He's a coward. And he didn't resign the first time. Unequivocally, Donald Trump is the worst president this country has ever had. Unequivocally. And it's ugly and sad and problematic. that happened. And we need to figure out why and how and prevent it from happening again. And I'm angry and I'm frustrated and I'm tired. I want to fix the country. I want to help the country. I mean, the country is hurting and I want to help her. And I'm working on my path to doing that, starting school soon. And I think one of the things that really hit me while I was watching the insurrection, and I've spoken about this on TikTok, was that, because of my involvement with the 2020 primary, and other factors, I just kind of finally accepted, really, which means more than likely, God willing, I will be serving in that building one day. One day, hopefully relatively soon. Again, I have to figure out some education stuff. Which is not something I've been very public about. It's actually been a very private journey I've been sort of dealing with and soul searching with for the past year and a half. But that's what I want. That's what I've wanted my whole life. That's what I'm called to. Okay, well, sorry about that. I know I just had to put a random clip in, but that's because I apparently didn't actually turn my camera all the way on. Anywho. Just sort of kind of finally accepting that that's what I wanted to do early last year. And just fully coming to terms with it, plus the insanity that was 2020. And the painfulness that was 2020. But, it's hard in my resolve. But that's my goal. That's what I want to do. But it was surreal watching it happen here at home in the living room next to my mom. And I think somewhere in the middle of the day, it somehow dawned on me that I don't need to be okay with, and I shouldn't be okay with, I should never be okay with, but I need to be at peace with the idea that this could happen again. I could be involved, and I could not come home again. And then furthermore, because I was kind of on my edge of my seat all day, praying, literally, that the members of the House and Senate wouldn't be got by these people, because I did not think they would be alive if they were. And I need to be at peace with the fact that that could happen. And my future spouse and children could have to see that happen. Again, I should never be okay with something like that, but I need to be at peace with it. And that's something I never considered. So I've been sort of struggling with that this week. For a long time, I thought I had to do something else, something more philanthropist-y, something more in the private sector, in the non-for-profit sector, because I cared too much. Even though I always kept going back to government in my head. I cared too much. And finally accepted that that's kind of why I should be doing the things, because I do care too much. So I'm kind of dealing with that, dealing with the idea that I need to come to terms with that revelation. These people aren't even people that exist in my life yet. But that's been kind of hard to accept. But if anything, it's hardened my resolve. It's proven that I need to do this. And obviously I'm not declaring that I'm doing anything right now. I'm just talking about what the insurrection made me feel and the place that it put me mentally. So don't get that twisted, please. And it won't be in 2022, so don't even consider that. But since I was very little, people have been kind of expecting me to do it, or telling me that I should run for president one day. The irony. Give some parameters. So Sunday of last week. No. Yes. I think. I don't know. Sunday, and on top of all this, the background to all this that y'all don't know, unless you follow me on Twitter, is that because on Twitter, I'm like, that's mostly like where I do my Team Heat stuff. And I've taken on 2 of the Learn About Transportation stuff, which reminds me I need to finish the other one before next week. But that's okay. I kind of got distracted by the attempted coup. So I was putting together a book list, and I have another thing that I actually need to write, which I need to do this week, but whoops. An attempted coup happened last week. That was supposed to be last week's mission. It was supposed to be up on Saturday of last week. It didn't happen. I'm going to rush to get it up before the election. Inauguration. I'm going to rush to get it up before the inauguration. Because I'm supposed to be doing about the Department of Disability. But anywho, I was throwing together a huge book list, which I'll go ahead and link down below, for everything connected to that, including queer history, U.S. politics, Constitution, all of that. And the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, surrounding that, I was doing the writing for each thing, because I wrote a paragraph for each thing. And I kept breaking down. My PTSD, for some reason, kept getting triggered, and it was extremely a hard few days. So that's the background for me going into that week. Just FYI. So that's the background for me going into that week. Tuesday night, I end up finishing all of it. I end up releasing it. It goes up on Twitter while the runoff stuff is coming in. So Tuesday night is fantastic. I've completed it. I feel great. It looks good. It's all done. I'm thrilled. It's up. It's out. It's published. And people are being so sweet about it. Oh my god. And talking to people about that while we're talking about the runoff. And it's just this insanely wonderful, great night. And then it's the 6th. So I had this horribly emotionally stressful amount of time because of my issues with my dyslexia and my PTSD and all that fun insanity that exists in my life. And then I walk into it, and I've completed this, I've pushed through something, I've done really well, and I release it, and people are being so kind and so amazing and so wonderful. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to release it, I'm going to take tomorrow off, because it's going to be the 6th, and then the next day I'm going to start the research for it, and I'm going to really, bump this out, write it, and have it out Saturday or Sunday. Monday at the latest. And I would not be shocked if I was actually disassociating all of Thursday of all of the 7th. Because I was out of it. I was quite out of it, actually. And it was hard on my whole family. The whole thing was hard. I actually forgot that I needed to do that until yesterday. Which I will get done now. And then I was processing stuff, and information just kept coming out and 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 coming out. And it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and continues to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's going to be very ugly before it's over. And then we are on the week after it. The House is meeting to impeach. There's drama because some people don't want to walk through a metal detector and have their bags examined literally a week after a coup attempt, and your lives were in jeopardy, and they're screaming at the police officers. Please don't scream at the Capitol police officers. They just saved your goddamn lives. So all of that's happening. More information keeps getting out. People are getting arrested. People are getting released on bond, and then doing dumb shit, getting called back into court. And every day there's 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 arrests. And we were expecting to hear the 25th Amendment be invoked, and it wasn't. And I have theories about that, but I'm not speculating about that online because it will not help anyone. And it wasn't, and it wasn't, and it wasn't. And I was one of the first people calling for it on Twitter that I know. And I will own that to my grave. And then on Tuesday, the president goes down to, of all places, Alamo, Texas, the irony, and addresses the American public for the first time on live television since this has happened. And just with the same bullshit. The same fucking bullshit. So as you can see, I'm like kind of a giant bag of emotions right now, still. I just want to make this video for the sake of vanity. I want to make this video because I have a lot of videos related to, I know I've got a Roswell video coming out pretty soon about a Roswell book. By the way, I know the Roswell video is supposed to be out in these 2 weeks. I'm sorry. I do not expect it to be out until February at the earliest because I can't read about possible government corruption while I'm watching possible government corruption happen. Like, it was hard before, and now it's just like, I can't even try. So, yeah. So hopefully I'll feel up to starting again in about a week or so with the research. But obviously that will put me behind a little bit. So mid-February to early March is when I'm expecting that to be released. But I do have a video that I've already shot. I just need to edit it. A review of another book that I read about the Roswell stuff that I need to review. I have another one that I need to write the script for, which I haven't done yet, but it's a new series that I'm bringing that is going to be political romance and just political romance books, because I found these amazing and I want to do reviews on them, and I'll probably end up expanding to other political books as well. But I don't want to bring you a video that's laughy and jokey and silly and goofy about a political romance book about the American president, not the current American president, but the idea of the American president, sort of. I'm very tired, I'm sorry. It's 4:30 in the morning, so, yeah. Before I address this, I don't want to talk about, like, the Roswell stuff, because that sort of leans into conspiracy. Before I made this video, to make it very clear where I stand on all this shit. 6 days, guys. 6 days from right now until Biden's inaugurated, not elected. Wow, I'm tired and need sleep. I think that's my sign to cut this. I'm also losing my voice because I've been talking forever. So I'm going to cut this down. I'm going to tear set, at least my lights down, and I'm going to go to bed. Love you guys, and I will see you in the next one, which should be regularly scheduled after this. I should just edit and put stuff out after this. But I wanted to make this just kind of be clear. So, okay. I love you guys. I'll see you later.